The Reddit title reads, I'm a 36-year-old woman and I feel defeated by the dating pool. You hear this a lot, men and women just giving up on dating. Women saying how horrible the apps are, all men are trash, and then men on the dating apps saying, I'm not getting any matches, so what's the point? I think for different reasons, men and women are just like fed up with dating. Let's see this woman's reason as to why she's signing out from this whole circus of modern dating. So it says, I'm so tired of dating. I'm feeling so old and I can't feel attracted to anyone who actually likes me, and I feel like giving up. So I don't want to make any judgments yet. I haven't read through this post. I just choose the title and just go with it. But yeah, she's 36, and there are some beautiful, healthy, wonderful 36 plus year old women. I'm much younger than that, so I haven't dated them before, but I know they're out there. But I always just think, like, what were you doing during your late teens, early 20s? Were you going out there trying to get into a relationship where arguably you're at your biological prime and you're, some would view, at your most pretty state? Were you using that time just to, sleep around and have fun, or were you just purely focusing on your career? Because if you were doing that, then you're wasting very valuable years where you could find a long term partner, a husband, if that's what you want to go down. Maybe she'll explain and she'll be like, hey, I was in like two long term relationships and both guys left me. And from that point of view, that really sucks for her. And I feel sorry for her that she put so much effort into guys and then they dumped her by the wayside. So she lost all those years. Let's see if she went down that route. But already I got the feeling maybe she didn't use her 20s in the right way when it comes to dating. For all we know, she might be a very successful businesswoman, and congrats to her. But let's see how she used those years to find a man. I haven't met anyone I actually like organically, and the apps are full of unresponsive men that try to go way too fast or just end up disappointing me. Yeah, well, look, when it comes to meeting people in person as a woman, women don't approach men. It's been like that since forever. In the olden days, a woman would drop a handkerchief to show sign to a man that she's interested. That is as far as women will go. They won't go out their way and approach a guy because it's quite a masculine thing for a guy to approach a woman. So, from just meeting people in person, it's very difficult because men are too scared to approach women for obvious reasons that we don't need to say. And on the apps, it is just much easier for a guy to slide into someone's DMs or swipe because they have that barrier. They feel a bit more safe. So yeah, I think the dating apps are the way to go, unless as a woman you meet someone in person at work or through family. Maybe she doesn't have those opportunities, so she's resorted to the apps. Now the apps have set a precedent for men where they're just like, well, I can just go on these apps, sleep with a woman after one or two dates because it's worked in the past, and that's the mindset they have because they've had women who have allowed that guy to do that in the past. So that they've set the precedence. And I'm sure, don't want to judge, but I'm sure she's had experiences where she slept with a guy on a first date from a dating app and it was just a hookup and so be it. So she was part of that, that mindset of online dating, and now it's backfired. I just can't seem to find anyone that's genuinely interested in me or vice versa. I've been single for about 2 years now. I'm so tired. However, I do want to find someone. I understand that feeling of tiredness. I think I was single for must have been about 3 or 4 years, but I was in my early 20s, so it didn't eat away at me as much because I knew I had lots to improve. I knew I had a lot of time, and I knew I wasn't even my prime yet, so I didn't have that strain on me. This woman obviously has this strain on her because she's feeling tired. She's been probably working hard in her life, and maybe she does want kids, so she feels that that ticking time clock of the pressure that maybe a man wouldn't have when he's 36. And when you're going in with this panic state and you're in a rush and you're stressed, that's going to come out in the dating and how you act around men. And that's not going to be attracted to a man, and you're not going to feel good in yourself. They're either full of themselves, she's talking about the guy she's on dates with, or act like they don't give an F. So I would say maybe she is swiping on the bad boys, so to speak. I'm sure there's guys who are in their 30, 36 or older who are nice guys and who would be happy to date a 36-year-old woman and give her the time of day and treat her well. So I want to be careful here that, okay, is she swiping on the good guys? I'm not saying women should date down, because if a woman dates down, then that poor guy she's dated down for, she's not going to be happy and it's going to make him miserable in the long term. What I'm saying is, like, don't date down, but at least vet the guy properly. If she's swiping on these guys, with their six pack abs in their first profile picture and they come across as a bit of a bad boy, then yeah, don't be surprised when the consequences are not in your favour. Venting here because I'm a mother. Oh, okay. This changes things. Who doesn't really have anyone to talk to about these sort of things. Look, again, I don't want to judge her. Um, Me personally, I just can't date a mother because I don't have a child. Um, so to go into a situation with dating someone and they have a kid, obviously I'm going to rather date someone who doesn't have the kid, who doesn't have that baggage. Now, what was the situation? Why is the father not in their life? Did she divorce him? Did he, pass away? Did he leave her? Like, there's so many different factors here. You see a lot, though, however, that the men usually do stay around and women do tend to leave. Now, it depends on certain factors, but that's something as a man, I'd be like interested in. Like, wait, where's this guy? Like, did you leave him? Like, because from my point of view, it's always important for the man and woman to stay together, to build a family, because it's best for the child and it's best for society. So that's the mindset I want to take, and I'd want to make sure the woman I'm dating has that same mindset. But yeah, having a kid throws a spanner in the works. And also from her point of view, she might be like, I've had a kid now, I'm 36, I don't want another kid. And there might be guys who are dating and they do want to have a kid in the future. So you're cutting off those men. Obviously, if you have a child and they're quite young, you're going to be obviously giving a lot of time to the child. So you're not going to be giving as much time to the man and making him a priority in your life because you've got another priority. So it's just more baggage. It doesn't make her a bad person, doesn't make her undateable. But if you have two women who are identical in every aspect, but one has a kid and one doesn't, obviously 99.9% of guys are going to go with the girl who doesn't have a kid. That's just common sense, right? She actually had an edit to the post, which is quite a big edit. So let's see more information that she might give. Because apparently I'm old at 36 and a mum, so I'm cancelled out. And she does like the rolling eye emoji. So I'm guessing this is a reply to some of the comments she got. Kind of what I mentioned. She's not cancelled out of dating. Doesn't make her a bad person. Doesn't mean she's undateable. But it does make the situation much more difficult. And she should know that. She knows that a woman who's, in her early mid 20s, who hasn't got a kid, is obviously on the marketplace, sexual marketplace, more of an interesting factor for men. She knows that deep down, and she needs to understand that's the way the game is right now. Just as a guy, I understand if a guy has more money than me and is taller and is more handsome, he's gonna get more girls than me. I've accepted that. I understand the game, and some people are a bit delulu. I don't have any surgeries or lip fillers, but I'm not ugly. I take care of myself. I'm tall, slender, I'm Hispanic, and I'm not materialistic. I work hard for everything I have. Fantastic. Again, I'm not saying she's a bad woman. Like, I'm sure she's a wonderful person to be around. But you got to remember, on these dating apps, these guys don't know you. All they're going to see is that you're 36 and you have a kids. So for some men, they're going to just cancel you out. That's just how it is. Just like how some women will cancel out a guy who's under 6 foot. Again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing for women to do. Everyone has standards. We're human beings. We make our own decisions, and that's completely fine. She mentioned she's tall. How tall when a woman says she's tall? I'm guessing maybe 5'9" or above. 5'9", 5'10". The average height of a male in the West is 5'9", so is she okay with dating a guy who's the same height or a bit shorter? Probably not. So again, her dating pool goes down significantly. She says she has her own place, bought my own car, and I don't need a perfect man. That's just unrealistic. When I read that, it kind of gives me that boss girl energy. Like, I don't need no man. I've got all these things. Like, it's kind of masculine. Um, but I guess it's a good thing. Like, if you're dating a woman who's 36, you don't want her to be overly needy in regards to finances and a home and stuff. So I think that's probably a positive. If you're dating a 36-year-old woman, to know she has a life together, I say that's a good thing. And at least she says, she doesn't need a perfect man because she understands that's unrealistic. I wonder if she's changed that over time. I wonder if she did go for the unrealistic standards, when she was a bit younger, but now she's a bit older and maybe there isn't as many opportunities that she once had. She's changed it and maybe she's dating down a little bit, um, which is something to be aware of. But I don't approach men because I never feel like I should make the first move since I feel judged at all times. Well, that's a society thing, and that's just how women have been. Look, you'd have much better dating experiences if you approach a guy, and he'd be very happy, and he'll be taken aback by it. And I'm sure, like you said you're a pretty woman, so I'm sure he'd love to go on a date with you. How many of you guys have been approached by a woman in person? I would say the majority of guys have never been approached by a woman ever in their life. So if this woman really cares about dating, really wants to find a guy, and she feels lonely and stuff like that, you know, swallow the pill and approach a guy. Swallow your pride. Go for it. Because I'm sure, as a guy, you know, if you're like I said, if you're pretty and the guy's single, there's a very, very good chance he'll go on a date with you. So make that first move. Stop moaning on Twitter and do something about it. I work for the government, so men are everywhere in and outside the office. Oh no, so she's in an occupation that's like probably like 80% male dominated. Again, from like a long term dating point of view, as a guy, I'd be uncomfortable by that. I'd be like, you're just surrounded by men all the time in a very masculine role. That would make me feel a bit uncomfortable about the steadiness of that relationship going forward. I go out alone and travel alone sometimes, but I'm a dedicated mother. Again, great that you're a dedicated mother. I don't know where this the father of the child is. So if the father's not in the picture, that means it's going to be difficult for you to go out on dates. That means it's going to be difficult for you to find time away from the child to spend with this new man in your life. So again, that's a very difficult thing for a new guy to come into your life, because he's thinking, well, where's the time for me? Because you're always with the child. And if you're always with the child, that means I'm going to have to be around the child in the early phases of dating, which that's not a good look either, because you don't, as a guy, you'd be worried, wait, I'm taking over the father duties here and it's not even my biological kid. So these judgy ass men commenting really make me want to give up, and that's another reason why I don't approach first, because you are harsh. Well, you ask people for honest opinions and they're giving you honest reasons to why you're struggling. So already she's showing that she's quite combative and she's quite in her masculine, because she can't just take constructive criticism. She asked for help on Reddit. Now she's just batting it away like a baseball bat. So again, this is already, she's not saying it out loud, but you can read in between the lines that she is quite argumentative. She's quite strong and powerful. I'm sure that's great in the business world, but it's not great if you want to find a man long term, because a guy wants a woman in her feminine. I'm not lowering my standards and I'm not being picky, because most men out there can't communicate and be genuinely caring. Again, she's going on into this with this like negative mindset, because maybe she's had some bad past trauma with men. Like, she hasn't worked on herself to get over it, and she's not giving men a real chance, because she's going into it thinking all men are trash, they're all, they can't be trusted. And guys will pick up on that, especially guys. She's going to be dating guys who are 36 or above. These guys have been around the block, they've had experiences, they know what to look out for. It's not like this girl's 20 and she's dating guys in their 20s who might be a bit wet behind the ears. You know, these guys are going to pick up on it, and I'm picking up on it in a very small Reddit post. Final line: I don't care about looks as much because, trust me, I've given my fair share a chance. I'm just so disappointed. Well, look, the human side of me, I want her to be happy. I want her to make sure her kid has a great life, and I want a man to be in that kid's life because it's going to help that kid, develop as a person. But this woman needs to change her mindset, take on constructive criticism, and yeah, go out and approach a guy, see what happens. Put a smiley face on, have a much more positive mindset. Because if you have a positive mindset and you're a bit more open and feminine to men, guys are going to react positively. But I'm getting negative vibes from her. I'm getting this really like masculine, don't need no man energy, and you're not accepting the situation of your background, of the baggage you have. Once you accept that and you're comfortable with it, and you're like, okay, these things might be a negative for a man. How am I going to turn it into a positive? How am I going to make, okay, I've got a child, but what other areas of my life can I improve so I can make up for men? It might be like a possible negative. How can you make up for that? And so she needs to do some self work. She needs to listen to constructive criticism. And yeah, that's all, guys. Cheers. See ya.